Honorable Judge Roy L. Bean presiding.
That's Bin. My name is pronounced Bin as in pin, not bean as in bean.
Sorry, Judge. Just so I can throw a little humor.
Well, knock it off.
Yes, Judge.
Be seated. The people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Arnold Medal.
Ready, Your Honor.
Ready for what, Miss Kling?
Ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Did I ask you?
No, Your Honor.
Then you're not ready.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Static, are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor, the defense is ready. I have no idea why the prosecution isn't ready.
She told me I wasn't ready.
Well, I'm ready.
Suck up.
Toady.
Brown nose.
Wuss.
Counsel, that is enough. Bailiff, draw me another jury.
What was the option plan? I can verify.
Choose. Choose. Draw the jury means to choose the jury.
Oh, I thought we already drew the jury.
We did, but I dismissed them.
May we ask why, Your Honor?
You may.
Why, Your Honor?
Why what?
Why have you dismissed all the John jurors? It took us so long to draw them.
I caught them all in Denny's this morning signing book deals.
I commend Your Honor's honor for stemming the onslaught of these unscrupulous literary agents.
Onslaught stemming had nothing to do with it. I was just upset, so he didn't invite me to Denny's. Bailiff, draw me another jury.
Jurors, please raise your paddles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, what do you think?
I don't understand the question, sir.
What do you think of my jury?
Well, jury picking is my area of expertise. I'd much rather consult with dead people.
Oh, I'm not much instructed with these guys.
I have no opinion on the matter, except to say that the man in the pink shirt looks like he'd much rather be home watching the Food Network.
You know, as a man, you want a jury? You got a jury.
Swear him in?
Your Honor, can I be heard?
Unfortunately.
Your Honor, I assumed before the swearing in that you were going to allow Miss Kling and me to interview these candidates as to their viability as jurors.
If you assume that, then you're dumber than you look, Mr. Static.
Your Honor, it's true. Mr. Static is indeed dumber than he looks, but on this point I tend to...
Quiet. I deem these jurors eminently viable.
Your Honor, please, we must be able
Just let me ask them if they think Carol Baskin fed her husband to the tigers, Your Honor.
Static, Kling, sit. Bailiff, swear him in.
Jurors, please rise. Now, raise your right hand. Do you swear to well and fairly try this case? Right, hand raised. Make a leave and place one left hand on the spot, like this. Do you swear to well and fairly try this case and render a true verdict, gross weighing your ticket prices? So help you God. Say I do.
I do.
Be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you are the jurors who will try this case. I know when you got up this morning, you didn't expect to be jurors. And I know that when I tell you you're probably not going to be able to go home with people you came here with, you're going to be pretty mad. And I wish I could tell you that it's my problem, but it's not. It's yours, and you're just going to have to deal with it. In the meantime, you will try this case. At its close, you will retire to the jury room, which has a small refrigerator stocked with Diet Pepsi and Doritos, and you will vote upon your verdict. I instruct you to listen to testimony carefully. Do what you can to ignore Mr. Static's tasteless wardrobe, and pronounce your judgment to the best knowledge of your hearts and minds. You are to determine whether the defendant, Arnold Medal, seated over here in the tasteful black wool suit and dated but dynamic red tie, is guilty or not guilty, beyond a reasonable doubt, of the murder of his wife, Amelia Medal, heretofore occasionally referred to as the deceased.
People, honest to God, I don't have a clue.
Mr. Static, will you please inform your client that any such further outburst will force me to hold him in contempt?
Certainly, Your Honor. Any such further outburst will force the judge to hold you in contempt.
Gotcha.
The district attorney may now proceed.
Wow, I love your shoes. You see?
Cling.
Sorry. January 16th of this year. Remember that date, ladies and gentlemen, for it is a date that will forever be etched in the memory of Amelia Medal.
Move to strike.
Strike who?
Miss Kling, Amelia Medal is dead. How can anything be forever etched in her memory?
The jury will ignore Miss Kling's unfortunately turned phrase. Miss Kling, go on.
I thought opening remarks couldn't be objected to, Your Honor.
I didn't object. I moved to strike.
Oh.
So there.
Static.
Yes, Your Honor. January 16th of this year was the closing night of the Mill City Players production of the classic American musical Hello Dolly starring Amelia Meadow. It was to be a night of joy and wonder, thrills and excitement, the roar of the crowd, the smell of the grease paint,
Please.
Static.
Thank you, Your Honor. But as we all know now, the euphoria of that evening was shattered forever, when near the end of the second act, Amelia Meadow, in the middle of her rousing solo rendition of So Long Dearie, heard a rope snap above her head, looked skyward, and was bombarded to the ground as a sandbag plummeted on her from the fly space, ending not only her highly acclaimed, if derivative performance, but also her life. It is the intention of the Commonwealth to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Arnold Meadow, Amelia Meadow's husband, his heart rife with jealousy, did, willfully, maliciously, and with incredible premeditation, release that sandbag at precisely the moment his wife was sleeping under it, thus crushing her to death and necessitating the postponement of the play's denouement.
In English, please, Miss Kling?
Climax, Your Honor.
Let's stick with French.
It is the contention of the Commonwealth that Miss Meadow's relationship with her co-star in the production, Byron Shelley, ignited the green monster inside of Arnold Meadow, prompting him to insinuate himself backstage that night, hide behind one of the stage-left curtains, crawl into the fly space, crawl along the light grid, and release the sandbag of death, killing his wife. The Commonwealth will prove with overwhelming circumstantial evidence that Arnold Meadow, and only Arnold Meadow, could have perpetrated this heinous crime. Thank you.
The court orders the court stenographer to strike one of those heinouses.
Which one, Your Honor?
The second one, of course.
Your Honor, I object.
Overruled. You can't say heinous. Once something is heinous, it can't get heinous. Mr. Static, your opening statement?
Ladies and gentlemen of the audience.
Static?
Jury! Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I don't know why you're here today. My client doesn't know why you're here today.
I really don't.
Quiet metal.
And God knows you have no idea why you are here today. Well, let me tell you what my client does for a living, and then you tell me whether or not you think he's capable of murder. My client, Arnold Meadow, is one of the most respected undertakers in the city. Yes, day after day after day, he puts people in the ground. I mean, look at him. He eats, drinks, and sleeps death. Why would a man like this seek more death? He gets enough death at work. Not only that, he loved his wife. Yes, in fact, they were right in the middle of plans to merge their businesses. Mrs. Meadow was on the verge of signing a deal that would move her senior citizens aerobic center to the newly refurbished Meadow Mortuary. Think of it, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, as the mourners are greeted by their friends and neighbors, their sadness will be tempered with by the thump, thump, thump of Richard Simmons' swing to the oldies from the basement, thus assuring that their life does indeed go on. And even if it doesn't, even if someone were to keel over from too much exertion on the Stairmaster, life is easier because there you are, right next to the embalming room. Oh, baby, think of the convenience. So don't think that Arnold and Amelia didn't have a wonderful marriage. You may doubt extremely reasonably that they were bitter towards each other. And once you do doubt reasonably, you must acquit my client. So save yourself a lot of time and grief. Don't even bother to concern yourself with whether my client did or did not kill his wife. Just ease your way down the path of life and get home for Fallon. Thank you!
Your Honor, I move Mr. Static's opening statement be ruled reprehensible.
So ruled.
Now, if my statement is to be moved reprehensible, then I move that Miss Kling's haircut be ruled unkempt and frumpy.
So ruled. Nobody cares, people. Get on with the case. Miss Kling, call your first witness.
The Commonwealth calls Salvatore Sue.
Salvatore Sue. Prisoner, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So help me God?
Oh, yeah, that too.
I do.
Say your name.
Salvatore Sue.
Be seated.
Kling, you're up.
What is your occupation, Mr. Sue? I'm a medical examiner of this county. And in the course of your duty, what were you called upon to do on the night of January 16th of this year?
Well, I had dinner around 6. Then I watched a little ESPN with the wife. We both like the sports, and you know. Then about 7:30, I think we looked at Jeopardy. Although I can't be too sure about that because, you know, it's on every night. And who's
Mr.
gonna
Sue, Mr. Sue. Later that night.
Oh, you mean when I had to head over to that community theater and take a look at the lady that got crushed by the sandbag?
Yes, Mr. Sue, tell us about that.
Well, I got the call about 10:15, you know, and I got there as fast as I could because I wanted to make sure I did my business and got home for Dateline at 11.
Mr. Sue.
And I was a bit ticked off when I got there.
Why is that, Mr. Sue?
Well, they made me buy a ticket.
What?
Which was okay, I guess, but what really bugged me from what I can make out, the show was well into the second act, and they hit me for full price, and...
Mr. Sue, what can you tell us about the condition of the body?
You mean the sandbag lady?
Yes.
Crushed. Very, very crushed.
And what did you establish as the cause of death?
You mean besides the sandbag?
Well,
Nothing. Sandbag did the job. Bada boom.
so there is no doubt in your mind, Mr. Sue, that the plummeting sandbag and the plummeting sandbag alone caused the death of Amelia Meadow?
I can't vouch for the brand name of the sandbag, whether it was a plummeting sandbag, but whatever kind of sandbag it was, it crushed the hell out of that lady. I can tell you that.
Thank you, Mr. Sue.
You're welcome, sweetheart.
Your witness.
Mr. Sue, do you think it's possible, just possible, that the sandbag which, as you say, crushed Miss Miller was falsely rigged?
No, absolutely not.
You're sure of this?
Totally, completely, utterly, and fully.
I see.
I'm glad.
Mr. Sue, may I call you Sal?
That's my name, Sal Sue.
Oh, that's a rather odd combination, is it not?
It's not because it's the combination I'm stuck with.
Salvatore Sue, Chinese-Italian. Your mother's name, in fact, before she married your father, was Susan Logoblici, was it not?
So?
So, Sal, is it not true that your mother, Sue, is the daughter of Tony Logoblici, owner of the Mill City Theater Sandbag Company?
I mean, I guess, yeah.
And isn't it true, Sal, that in order to avoid the wrath of Tony Logoblici, you would do and say anything to prove that a falsely rigged sandbag was not the cause of Amelia Meadows' death?
I object. Mr. Sue is a highly respected medical examiner and in no way would stoop to covering up for his in-law's possible liability.
I wouldn't say all that.
Mr. Sue.
And I'm not all that highly respected.
Mr.
myself.
Sue!
No further questions.
You may step down, Mr. Sue.
Yep.
Miss Kling, your next witness?
I'm aghast.
Well, I'm awaiting. Let's go.
The Commonwealth calls Gretel Van Cistern.
Gretel Van Cistern. What? The Commonwealth just calls you.
Take the stand, Miss Van Cistern.
Give me that.
Sorry.
Raise the hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
What was the second thing?
The whole truth.
I will, I do. Yeah, sure, whatever.
Kindly state your name.
Gretel Van Cistern. Kind enough?
Ugh.
Ms. Van Cistern, would you kindly tell the court your occupation?
I'm a security guard for the YWCA.
Ms. Van Cistern, there's no need to be explicitly kind. Normal, everyday politeness will suffice. Okay. Now, in addition to your regular employment as a security guard at the YWCA, do you have a leisure time activity?
When I'm not working, yes.
And what might that be?
That might be that I'm a stage manager for the Mill City Players Community Theater Organization.
Well, let's just call them the Mill City Players.
All right, let's.
Yes, let's. Now, as stage manager for the Mill City Players, were you called upon to be at the theater on the night of January 16th of this year?
No.
No?
No, it was my job. I went without being called upon.
Okay, then you were at the theater on that night?
Yes.
And you stage managed the show?
Yes.
Hello, Dolly.
Hello, my name's Gretel.
No, the show. The show you stage managed on that night was the show Hello, Dolly.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
And would you tell us, Miss Van Cistern, exactly where you were situated during the performance of the rousing number So Long Dearie?
Well, my stage post was usually stage manager facing back in the audience, but on that night I changed places with my assistant manager, Ronald Chandonnet, so I was backstage left on headsets, very near Gus, the lovable doorman.
And why, on this night of all nights, did you change places with Mr. Chandonnet?
Ronald is my intern. We have the stage managing intern choose one performance of every show from the stage manager's booth.
I see. So we've clearly established you were backstage left, on headsets, very near Gus, the lovable doorman, during the rousing So Long Dearie number. Would you then tell us if you noticed anything unusual backstage during that time?
I did.
And what might that have been?
That might have been Mrs. Metal's husband.
Are you referring to the defendant, Arnold Metal?
Yes, because when you're not in the show, you're not allowed backstage.
And as stage manager, did you not advise Mr. Metal of this restriction?
If you mean did I tell him to get his butt out of there? Yeah, I did.
And what did Mr. Metal do?
I think he got his butt out of there.
You think? Aren't you sure?
No, I had a queue coming up, and Mrs. Metal was supposed to run the cash register during the number. But the cash register we borrowed from the Mill City Walmart was busted. Who's surprised? So I had to ring my backup ringer. So when he got his butt out of there, I think, I turned my attention back to the show.
And you did ring your ringer, did you not?
I've never missed a cue in my life.
Would you then tell us, Miss Van Sisteren, what happened immediately after you rang your ringer?
Immediately after,
Immediately after.
I said, "Oh my God!"
What? Why?
Scraped myself on the ringer. Hurt like a son of a...
After that, Miss Van Sisteren, what happened on stage immediately after that?
Oh, Mrs. Metal got crushed by a sandbag.
And how much time would you say had elapsed between the time you told Mr. Metal to get his butt out of there to the time the sandbag plummeted to the stage floor?
I never reached the stage floor. I told you, it fell right
Okay,
on.
by the time it reached Mrs. Metal,
2-3 minutes.
and in your estimation, was there ample time for Mr. Metal to get to the sandbag rigging, release the sandbag, get his butt out of there in those 2 or 3 minutes?
Sure. But, I mean, depends what you mean by ample. In real life, 2-3 minutes is nothing. But say in a basketball game, 2-3 minutes can be the difference between a championship and a devastating, humiliating...
Okay, did he have time to do it, Miss Van Sisteren?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Your witness.
Miss Van Sister. It is Miss Van Sister, is it not?
She called me Ms. I kinda like Ms.
Well, you are an unmarried woman, true?
It's not a crime.
No, it's not. In fact, many women your age are as yet unmarried, are they not?
I could give you a list.
Miss Van Sisteren, was the night of the January 16th performance the only night you saw positions with Ronald Chandonnet?
Oh, no? How did you know that?
That is my job, Miss Van Sisteren, to seek down lies and to unbend the truth.
Objection.
Why?
Argumentative.
I take issue with that.
See?
Sustained, static, no farther posturing.
Not even this.
No,
Or this.
absolutely not. Proceed with your questioning of the witness.
Miss Van Sisteren, is it not true that you were backstage left for the entire final weekend, that you were backstage left for closing night, and that your plan, your carefully constructed and manipulated plan, was to set yourself backstage left because you were sweet on Randy Thistle, who was in charge of raising the curtain? No! And isn't it true, Miss Van Sisteren, that the only reason you're on the prosecution's witness list is that you advised them of Mr. Metal's alleged appearance backstage to cover for the fact that your boyfriend, Randy Thistle, and you were wrapped in each other in a fevered embrace during the rousing So Long Dearie number when he should have been manning the curtain?
No, that's not true. I told you I was ringing my ringer.
Oh, are you sure it wasn't Randy ringing your ringer?
It's a lie!
Is it, Miss Van Sisteren? Is it a lie? Or are you simply trying to protect your man?
I don't have a man!
Oh, but you want one, don't you?
No!
And the man you want is Randy Thistle, isn't it?
No, this is all terribly incorrect.
Oh, how so, Miss Van Sisteren? How so? Why is this incorrect?
Because
Yes, Miss Van Sisteren, we're waiting.
Because I like girls.
What?
I like girls, not guys, girls. I like girls.
Now, see, I could have told you that.
Well, Static, got anything else to fall back on here?
No, Your Honor. I'm through with the witness.
All right, you may step down.
That's it?
That's it.
He gets me up here and I reveal my deepest, darkest secret of my life to the whole world, and all I get to do is step down?
That's pretty much the deal, yeah. Go on, step.
Like you have any room to talk.
Well, I guess the defense really botched that one up, didn't it?
I object.
Why, you did, didn't you?
Well, I
So suck it up. Miss Kling, call your next witness.
The Commonwealth calls ginger ale.
Ginger ale.
I'll have a Diet Coke.
Quiet, Metal.
Sorry.
Raise your hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Oh, so help me God. And like everybody.
State your name.
Ginger ale.
Be seated.
May you please clarify for the court where your first name ends and your last name begins?
My first name ends after ginger, and my last name begins with Ray, as in rail. R-A-Y-L-E. Ginger ale.
And has this name been a burden for you?
Why should it be?
Miss Kling, go on.
Ms. Rail, what is your current employment?
I'm a permanent temporary.
Which means...
I work temporarily on a permanent basis.
You mean you work permanently at a temporary agency?
Well, temporarily. I'm considering taking a position at a temporary agency on a permanent basis.
Then that would... A full-time employee at a permanent agency on a temporary basis?
For the time being.
Good. Now, in your spare time, you are an actress, am I correct?
Yeah, I like to think so. Most people consider me a musical comedy performer because with my voice, nobody can take me serious as an actress.
I see.
I got cast as the maid in Long Day's Journey into Night once, but every time I opened my mouth, the audience laughed, making the journey much longer than it was supposed to be. So I got fired. I do community theater musicals now.
Yes, and you were, in fact, in the Mill City Players production of Hello Dolly, isn't that true?
Yeah, I was Minnie Fay, like you couldn't have guessed.
And as Minnie Fay, you spent a lot of rehearsal time with Amelia Meadow, who played Dolly Levi in the show, did you not?
Lots of rehearsal time. I mean, it wouldn't have been too much to ask that she occasionally pick up her script and learn a line. I think she was lazy. Lazy. Although, maybe she faked it so she could spend more time with Byron.
By Byron, you mean Byron Shelley, the actor who played Horace Vandergelder in the show?
Yeah, he plays all 50-plus hand rolls at Mill City. Can't sing, but most guys his age who can are dead, so they use Byron.
And is it your testimony that Amelia Meadow and Byron Shelley were having an affair?
Well, I don't know if you can call it an affair. I mean, for an affair, you kind of have to assume coupling is involved. I just can't for the life of me see Amelia and Byron, you know.
But there was, in your opinion, a romantic relationship between them?
Yeah, I guess. They did the kissy face stuff, and there's the pinching and giggling and just all around obnoxious adolescent behavior.
Pinching, you say?
Yeah,
Who pinched whom?
he pinched her.
Where?
Somewhere around the left side of the cheek.
Oh, like here?
No. Right.
Oh, never mind. In what location of the theater did the pinching take place?
Oh, well, just about anywhere her tush went, his fingers followed. It was pretty disgusting.
And was Mrs. Meadow's husband, the defendant, Arnold Meadow, ever present when this pinching occurred?
I think so. I mean, he would come to rehearsal or pick Amelia up while we'd still be getting notes, and anytime there was a window of opportunity, Byron would go for a butt. I'm sure Mr. Meadow was aware of it.
There was one incident, was there not, when Mr. Meadow's awareness of this pinching became quite evident?
Yeah, I guess. One night we were there real late. Mr. Meadow was sitting in the orchestra section while we were on stage getting notes. At one point, Amelia, shrieked, eek! And she started giggling, and Byron was sitting next to her, so we can all assume what was going on. About 30 seconds later, this rolled-up copy of the Wall Street Journal comes flying up from the orchestra section, and it whacks with Byron upside the head. And it was real tight, too, like it was folded by the world's greatest paper boy. And it really smacked him and knocked him off his chair. So we all look into the orchestra section, and there's Mr. Meadow, asleep, completely not moving. Nobody said anything. Byron just got up off the floor, sat back down in his chair, and adjusted his hairpiece. Everybody made out like nothing happened.
So Mr. Meadow must have thrown the paper.
Like I said, nobody saw him, but that would have been my guess.
Your witness.
Miss Rail, you are what one might call a woman of dependent means. Would that be an accurate statement?
It might be if I knew what the hell you were talking about.
I'm talking about lifestyle, Miss Rail. I'm talking about paying the rent. I'm talking about your elaborate taste in clothing and jewelry and makeup.
Are you calling me cheap looking?
Oh, contraire, Miss Rail. I look at you and I see a girl who spares no expenses to make herself look good, who parked her Lexus next to my Hyundai in the court parking lot, who lives in a luxurious condominium in the Mill City Players estate. And I'm wondering, just wondering, mind you, how an office temp like you accumulates enough income to accommodate such a lavish lifestyle.
So what's your question?
Where do you get the money to pay for everything, Miss Rail?
I told you, I work for a living.
Oh, surely you don't expect the court to believe that you can afford everything you do off the salary of an office temp.
Your Honor, I object. I demand to see where Mr. Static is going with this.
Well, if the Commonwealth can wait for one more question, the Commonwealth can see exactly where this is going.
The Commonwealth is afraid, Your Honor, that if it waits for one more question, the defense may reveal something that will destroy the credibility of this very important prosecution witness.
You are so nailed. Is it not true, Miss Rail, that up until rehearsals began for Hello Dolly, you were what might politely be called Mr. Byron Shelley's Tootsie?
I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
I'll tell you exactly what, Miss Rail. You were Mr. Shelley's lollipop, and he was your sugar daddy.
Who are you, Mother Teresa?
And when he broke up with you, thus cutting off all funds, you were hurt and humiliated, thus leading you to the witness stand here today to exaggerate the friendship between Mr. Shelley and Amelia Meadow.
I am not exaggerated. He had his fingers on her backside whenever she got within arm's length. feelings.
Oh, do you deny your liaison with Mr. Shelley?
Yes.
How can you possibly deny that liaison?
Because I don't know what a liaison is.
Were you or were you not romantically involved with Mr. Shelley in exchange for money and favors?
No, never. Not once. I mean, it wasn't very romantic.
No further questions.
And the only favor he ever did me was break it up with me. Biggest favor he ever did me.
That will be enough, Miss Rail. Bailiff, escort the witness off the stand.
Hey, get away from me. Escort this.
Your next witness, Miss Kling?
The Commonwealth calls Mrs. Byron Shelley.
Miss Byron Shelley. Raise your hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I most certainly do.
State your name.
Mrs. Byron Shelley.
Your first name.
Shelley.
Your first name, please, for the court record.
Shelley is my first name.
Your name is Shelley Shelley.
My name is Mrs. Byron Shelley.
All yours.
Mrs. Shelley, I know this is going to be difficult for you, but I must ask you a few very personal questions.
It won't be difficult at all. I'm not afraid of personal questions.
Fine then. How long have you been married to Mr. Shelley?
Must I answer that?
That you must.
Very well. Mr. Shelley and I have been married 32 years.
And would you consider your marriage to be a happy one?
That's none of your business, young lady.
Your Honor, permission to treat Mrs. Shelley as a hostile witness?
Absolutely.
Now listen to me, you old bag. I want you to answer me, and I want you to answer me good. Do you understand?
I
Do you or do you not have an arrangement with Mr. Shelley that allows him to see other women?
certainly not. Mr. Shelley and I
Oh, you're
have no
being
such...
hostile again, Mrs. Shelley, and as long as you keep being hostile, I'm going to treat you as hostile because the judge ruled I could. So if you want me out of your face, you'd better start coming clean.
Oh, all right, dear me. Yes, is that what you want to hear? Yes, Mr. Shelley and I have a written agreement that he may seek comfort from other women.
And you are kept well abreast of just who these other women are you not?
I am. I demand to know whom he's been with. In this day and age, it only makes sense.
So can you attest to the fact that Mr. Shelley has been involved in a relationship with the deceased, Mrs. Amelia Nettle?
Not since she's been deceased.
Before her death.
I can. He brought that aroma of that woman into my home for the past 3 months. She used this rather hideous perfume that lingered in my closet like rotting spam.
I bought her that perfume.
Arnold!
Oh, your witness.
Mrs. Shelley, what did you receive in return from Mr. Shelley as part of a written agreement regarding his freedom to seek comfort from other women?
That's none of your business, young man.
Permission to treat this witness as hostile, Your Honor?
No permission needed. She's a prosecution witness. Treat her as hostile as you like. Make her squirm for all I care.
All right, lady, hold up, spill it. What did you get from Byron for what you described as no-holds-barred philandering? Oh, surely, Shelley, you must have had big-time reciprocation for such an enormous amount as you gave your husband.
I don't think I...
Oh, don't Shelley. You got something from him, didn't you?
No.
No.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Well, there was this one little thing.
Oh, and what was that one little thing?
Oh, I could never.
Tell the court, Mrs. Shelley.
I couldn't possibly...
Mrs. Shelley, the court is dying to know what you got when letting your husband sleep around.
The clicker!
What?
The clicker! The remote control for the television. Before our agreement, he would sit there hour after hour, jumping from channel to channel, never stopping more than 1 or 2 seconds, never allowing me to choose a program. Darting here, darting there, avoiding commercials at all costs. Until the time our lawyer wrote up that agreement, until our cable was installed, I never saw one television program all the way through. People kept telling me how catchy the theme at beginning of Friends was, but I never got to see it. By then, Byron already skipped 10 or 12 times. I couldn't take it anymore. I said to him, Byron, what do I have to do to get that infernal clicking thing away from you? His eyes lit up. He said, allow me to vent my frustrations outside of the marriage. Well, I hardly had to think. Not only did I get the remote, I also got the TV to myself most of the time. It was a real no-brainer, so I signed the agreement.
I see. And is it fair to say, Mrs. Shelley, that you would do almost anything to keep control of that clicker?
Well, anything may be an exaggeration.
Is it, Miss Shelley, is it? Isn't it true that you would do almost anything, up to and including committing perjury, to keep that controller in your pudgy little mitts?
The Commonwealth demands to know what Mr. Static is insinuating.
Me too.
Well, Mr. Static is insinuating that Mrs. Shelley lied about Amelia Meadows' odorous perfume, that she's merely trying to verify her husband's relationship with Amelia Meadow to keep his reputation as a Don Juan intact, thus keeping him on the prowl out of her living room and far, far away from her precious remote control.
That's outrageous!
I know, but I gave it a shot. No further questions.
How dare he sully my reputation?
You did a good job of selling it all by yourself, Missy.
Well, I never.
Well, I'm not surprised.
I am beside myself.
Try Jenny Craig. Step down. Miss Kling, do you have any more witnesses to call?
Call Edwina Barry.
Not Edwina.
Edwina Barry.
That's not fair.
Please.
But she's so delicate. Look how delicate she is. Oh, you people are mean.
State name.
Edwina Barry.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do.
Be seated.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate your courtesy.
I do what I can.
I'm grateful for your Enough already with the thanking. Miss Kling?
Miss Barry, what is your current occupation?
I'm an assistant undertaker.
And whom do you assist?
Mr. Meadow.
And how long have you been assisting Mr. Meadow, Miss Barry?
44 years.
44 years.
This Thursday, yes.
Miss Barry, how old are you?
51.
51. But, Miss Barry, that would mean that you're claiming to have been Mr. Meadows' assistant since you were 7 years old?
That is true, yes. Ever since I was a little girl, every time Mr. Meadow buried something, I helped him.
Oh, Mr. Meadow buried things before he became an undertaker?
Oh, yes. I remember the very first time I assisted Mr. Meadow with a burial. It was 44 years ago. This Thursday, I saw Arnie. You let me go have Arnie?
Good Lord.
I saw Arnie out in his backyard digging into the ground with a soup spoon. I ran outside and asked him what he was doing. He told me he was having a funeral for Chirpy.
And Chirpy would be...
Chirpy would be Meadow's parakeet who passed on that morning. The medical examiner report attributed death to excessive inhalation of fumes from a burnt piece of toast.
the medical examiner?
Marky McCoy, he lived across the street. Arnie put Chirpy in the hole, then asked me to throw the dirt over the bird while he played taps on his father's ukulele. I've been assisting him ever since.
Your Honor, as precious as the story of pre-adolescent insanity seems to be, I fail to see how it's relevant to the case at hand.
Well, perhaps if Mr. Static would keep his seat and let me continue, he'd see exactly where I'm going with this.
Perhaps you're right. Perhaps I should allow you unlimited courtroom time to delve into the playtime habits of this and every other potential serial killer who grew up in Meadow's neighborhood.
Your Honor, I was just trying to...
Interrogate your witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Barry, how many funerals did you and Mr. Meadow officiate at in your youth?
Oh, 7 or 8 a year. Whenever somebody in the neighborhood had a pet to plant, we did the planting.
You buried the neighbor's pets?
Yes, mostly pets.
Mostly pets?
Yes, and Marky McCoy wrote the senior play. It was called Death, Death, Death. It died. We buried the script.
Your Honor! Miss Barry, isn't it true that when you and Mr. Meadow would bury pets in the occasional lousy play in your youth, that you did not utilize anything resembling a casket?
Yes.
Would you then tell us, Miss Barry, what form of container did you place your dead parakeets and goldfish and hamsters?
I'd rather not say.
Miss Barry,
Mr. Meadow has been so good to
answer
me.
the question.
You see, I'm very delicate and...
Miss Barry, in what type of container did you place the remains?
Sandbags! Sandbags. We buried them in sandbags. I'm sorry, Arnie.
That's all right, Chuck. That's hurting me. They're just mean. You couldn't help it.
And isn't it true, Chuck, that even as professionals, the sandbag was part of the ritual you and Mr. Meadow created for your burial service?
I don't think
Isn't it true that, for old time's sake, you and Mr. Meadow always buried a sandbag with your clients?
Yes.
So would you say, Miss Edwina Chuck Barry, that Mr. Meadow is sufficiently versed in the manipulation of sandbags?
Arnie could do things with sandbags that'll make girl hearts stop. Arnie, please forgive me.
It's my own fault. I got this charm thing going on.
Mr. Static, the witness is yours.
Miss Barry, do you think Mr. Meadow has it in him to drop a sandbag on his wife?
No, I do not.
Do you believe Mr. Meadow has it in him to murder anyone, much less his wife?
No, I do not.
Do you believe Mr.
No, I do not.
I didn't finish the question, Miss Barry.
Sorry.
Do you believe Mr. Meadow has it in him to perpetrate any kind of physical mayhem on any member of the human race?
You're finished, right?
Right.
No, I do not.
No further questions.
I have one more question for this witness, Your Honor.
I thought you might. Proceed.
Miss Barry, are you in love with Mr. Meadow? Head over heels, happened since I was 7.
Good Lord.
Thank you. No further questions.
You may step down, Miss Barry.
I handled the periwinkle funeral this morning. Everything went off without a hitch.
Please,
One of
Miss
the pallbearers
Barry.
looked pretty sick. I gave him your card.
Miss Barry. Miss Kling, do you have anyone else to call?
Just one, but boy, is it a big one.
Don't editorialize, just call a witness.
The Commonwealth calls the director of the Mill City Players production of Hello Dolly, Penelope Pacemaker.
Penelope Pacemaker.
Please, it's not pacemaker. It's pache-marquet.
Yeah, sure. Raise your hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
What is there but the truth?
Oh, no.
I awaken each morning under oath.
I'm sure you do. Sit down.
Miss Pache Marquet, what is your occupation?
You're a riot, Kling. Maybe I could talk the DA's office into opening a comedy club in the basement of City Hall.
Well, now that you bring it up, I did wait my turn.
Get to the point, Miss Kling.
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Pache Marquet, what is your occupation?
I am the artistic, producing, managing director of the Mill City Players Theater Company.
Objection, that is not her occupation, that is her avocation.
Sit down, you'll get your chance to cross-examine.
You promise?
Sit down, you desk lamp.
And as artistic, producing, managing director of the Mill City Players Theater Company, you spend a great deal of time at the theater, do you not?
I do. As the artistic, producing, managing director, I am in constant control of the art, the production, and the management of the theater. I am burdened with the weight and the scope of the creative flow of our output.
What the hell is she talking about?
It's not unusual then, is it, for you to be at the theater even after a show is well into its run?
Well, as artistic, producing, managing director, my, how shall I say it, spirit is always at the theater. My aura is pervasive.
I think I saw that written on the men's room wall.
Metal.
Withdrawn.
It is my responsibility to monitor the many and varied cogs of the internally whirling wheel that is the Mill City Players Theater Company. Not a curtain is raised, not a cheek is dappled, not a flat is made erect that is not overseen by me personally.
Well, wouldn't that become a bit unnerving for the company members?
Not at all. Much of the time I oversee just as I am now. Other times I adopt the disguise.
Ah.
You see, in addition to being the artistic, producing, managing director of the Mill City Players Theater Company, I'm also an actress.
I see. And you were, in fact, backstage in disguise at the theater on the closing night of the Hello Dolly on the night of January 16th?
I was.
Your Honor, I object.
To what? You're the one asking the questions. You got the answer you were looking for. What are you objecting to?
The audience. There should have been a gasp from the audience at Miss Pache Marquet's revelation. There was no gasp. I object. I refuse to continue questioning this witness till I hear gasp from the audience. Oh, don't patronize me.
The DA's office told me you needed a vacation. I didn't know it was this bad.
Your Honor, please, I demand you order a sincere gasp.
Anything to get this clam bake rolling? Members of the gallery, when Miss Pacemaker repeats her response to Miss Kling's last question, I order you to gasp sincerely. I'll give you a signal. When I do this, you gasp.
I object.
I don't care. Miss Kling, repeat your question.
You were backstage that night?
I was.
You happy?
I am, Your Honor.
Continue.
And how were you disguised that night, Miss Pache Marquet?
Well, since it was close closing night, I wanted to make sure the actors and stagehands weren't planning these silly final performance shenanigans, mooning each other from the wings, filling on-stage water glasses with vodka, things like that. So I arrived 2 hours early and disguised myself as Gus, the lovable doorman.
No way.
Way, Arnold, way.
But how did you get Gus to agree to the switch?
Excuse me, I am the artistic, producing, managing director. What I say goes. So I said, and Gus went.
So everybody who saw Gus that night was actually seeing you?
I say in all modesty that they saw Gus. I am the consummate actor. I became Gus. I was Gus. They saw Gus.
Yeah, but it was really you.
Guilty.
And tell the court, Miss Pache-Mache, did you see the defendant, Arnold Metal, backstage on the night in question?
I did.
And did you see him backstage during the second act as the rousing So Long Dear Number approached?
I did.
And what was Mr. Metal doing there?
He was lurking.
Lurking?
Lurking, as if he had something sinister on his perverse little mind.
Oh, she cross-dresses in a 9-year-old guy's pants and I'm perverse?
And did he continue lurking, Miss Pache-Mache?
He did, until he slithered behind the rear curtain out of my sight.
And did he remain out of your sight?
He did not. Seconds later, a shadowy figure appeared in the grid in the fly space, making its way towards stage left Sandbag.
Can you describe that figure?
I can. It was a male figure, precisely Mr. Metal's height and build.
And what did the shadowy figure do?
Then, the shadowy figure crawled to the sandbag, and then, during the bombastic instrumental crescendo leading up to the dynamically staged final moments of the rousing So Long Dearie number, he pushed the sandbag off the edge of the grid. It plummeted to the ground and demolished my leading lady.
Well, why didn't you scream?
My scream went unheeded. As I mentioned, the instrumental crescendo was bombastic.
And what happened to the shadowy figure after it dropped the sandbag on Mrs. Metal?
I have no idea. As the artistic producing managing director, it was my responsibility to tend to the performance. I changed back into my regular clothing, rehearsed the understudy, and arranged for the final scenes to be played. Unfortunately, there was too much commotion and they wouldn't allow me to move Amelia's body, so she would have got trampled during the curtain call. Not that it would have bothered her much at that point.
One final question, Miss Pache-Mache. Do you have any idea who that shadowy figure in the fly space might have been?
Wouldn't this all be dramatically anemic if I didn't?
Who was it, Miss P?
I know for a fact that the shadowy figure who dropped the sandbag on Amelia Metal was none other than her husband, the defendant, Arnold Metal!
Need a gasp?
No, Your Honor. This hushed silence speaks volumes. Your witness.
Your Honor, the defense asked for a recess at this time.
Oh, I see. So are you so stunned by this revelation that you're unprepared to cross-examine this witness?
Oh, not in the least, Your Honor. I am, in fact, ready to tear this witness to shreds. Well, it's merely that we've been sitting here for almost an hour, and I'm sure the members of the gallery might need to use the facilities and purchase soft drinks.
They're not the only ones. So ruled. This court will be in recess until the lights flash in the lobby.
All rise.
Would you get a load of this joke for court case?
Hey, Judge, I bet we're all wondering when we get to go home.
Yeah.
Never. Any more of you two, and I will hold you.
You may be seated.
Recall the witness.
If I recall, this is the odd director with the odd name who...
Recall the witness to the stand, you stuffed animal.
Oh, of course. Penelope Pache-Mache.
Oh, you're so very clever.
Since 6 years of life, you've nothing.
Remember, you're under oath.
I awaken each morning under oath.
Where's the formaldehyde when you need it?
Static. Cross-examine.
Your occupation again, Miss Pache-Mache.
I am the artistic producing.
I asked for your occupation, Miss Pache-Mache. What is it you do to earn a living?
I don't see how that's very relevant.
I will decide what is relevant.
Hey.
The judge will decide what is relevant. Is her occupation relevant, Your Honor?
Of course it is.
Of course it is. So, Miss Pache Manquet, when you're not artistically producing and managing the Mill City Players, what exactly is it you do?
I'm employed at the River Valley Bulladrome.
I see. And what is your occupation at, what was the name of the Bulladrome?
River Valley.
What is it you do there, Miss Pache Manquet?
Assistant manager.
Assistant manager?
Yes.
Ooh, I see. This is one of those jobs where whoever isn't the manager is given the title of assistant manager. So then, there's probably an assistant manager in charge of the front desk, an assistant manager in charge of maintaining the lanes, an assistant manager in charge of the books, an assistant manager in charge of the balls. So, Miss Pache Manquet, what is your position there?
Assistant manager.
Yeah, what is it you do?
Spraying the shoes.
Could you speak up a bit, Miss Pache Manquet?
Spraying the shoes. I spray the shoes.
Again, please, Miss Pache Manquet.
I spray the freaking bowling shoes, all right? Is that what you want to hear? After the people perspire their tootsies off in the shoes, I spray the shoes, then I put them away in their little shoe slots.
I see. May I assume then from your reaction to my simple question, you're not entirely comfortable in this position?
Assume away. Go ahead, assume your ass off.
May I also assume, Miss Pache Manquet, that your avocation as artistic, producing, managing director of Mill City Players Theater Company not only provides you with an outlet for your creativity, but also for your need to be recognized as a thinking human being?
I am a thinking human being in all facets of my life. I do not need the mantle of authority to lend credence to my intellectual functionality.
Come, Miss Pache Manquet. Surely you're not asking the court to believe that your intellect is challenged in any way, shape, or form when a 300-pound woman slaps down sweaty size 11 so you can disinfect them.
I never stop thinking. I never stop creating.
Are you embarrassed by what you do to earn a living?
I'm not.
And wouldn't you do anything up to and including lying on this witness stand, planting yourself in the center of this trial to prove that you are a person of worth?
I do not need to lie to prove that. Ask anybody connected to the players. I am a grounded individual. I'm ashamed of nothing. I hide nothing. I work like a dog so I can contribute artistically to the players. I tell the truth in my art and in my work, and I am telling the truth when I say I saw Arnold Metal drop the sandbag on his wife, Amelia Metal.
Are those hushed silences, huh? Got anything else to add, Mr. Static?
No, Your Honor. I'm through with the witness.
Colleen?
The Commonwealth rests, Your Honor.
Good move. Got Static there running like a rabbit. Miss Pacemaker, we're through. You can step down.
I am never through. An artist never stops creating.
Static, ready to proceed with the defense case?
And Your Honor, I'd like to have a word with my client.
Oh, really? Now you'd like to have a word with me? You practically signed my death certificate with your cross-examination of Penny Pucky Monkey over there, and now you'd like to talk to me.
Arnold, we're in trouble.
Oh, why don't you tell the whole world? Hey, somebody call CNN. Static thinks we're in trouble. I don't think the Queen of England quite heard you. Speak up, why don't you?
Your Honor, I'd like a recess.
Don't give it to a judge. Go on, call your witnesses. We're screwed anyway.
The defense calls Miss Harriet Meadow.
You're starting with my mother? Good God, just cuff me up. Just take me away.
No, we need her as a character witness.
Oh, she's a character already.
Miss Harriet Meadow.
Excuse me.
Huh?
My courtroom is smoke-free.
Oh. It's a filthy habit, but it keeps the weight down.
Prison do sort
To
of.
tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. Yeah, I know the drill. Take a seat. Thank you. I will.
State your name.
Harriet Beecher Metal.
Mr. Static?
Mrs. Meadow, would you tell the court your relationship with the defendant, Arnold Meadow?
He is my son.
You are his mother.
That's the way it works, Sherlock.
And have you found Arnold to be a good son?
Absolutely. A great kid. A weird kid, but a great kid.
Let's just see how great a kid he is, Mrs. Meadow.
You know what? He was a great paper boy, too. Man could eat wide up a newspaper and fling it. He is a little nutso, though. There's no getting around that.
In all the time you've known Arnold, which is his entire life.
You went to school for this.
In all that time! Have you ever known him to physically harm another human being?
Nope.
That's a no then.
You got it, Einstein. My Arnold would never hurt a fly.
You then don't think that Arnold is a murderer?
No chance in hell. I mean, it's entirely possible he's bored more than a few people to death, but murder somebody? Never.
Your witness.
Of course, that fat-headed old bat he married, that's somebody anybody can murder.
No, you witness!
Mrs. Meadow, let's focus for a minute on this weird Arnold you talked about a moment ago. Are you referring to his penchant from a very early age for burying dead pets in your backyard?
Yeah, well, that might be a little weird, but that's nothing compared to the couple of other nutball activities he had as a kid.
Oh, God.
Such as...
Such as his collection of dead costume frogs.
Oh, God!
Oh, yeah. He catch these big old frogs out in the pond out back, pit them and dip them in a jar of formaldehyde, and when they got all good and stiff, he dressed them up as popular TV stars of the day.
A boy needs a hobby.
He'd catch these big old frogs out back, right? Once they got all good and stiff, he would dress them up as Dorothy and Toto, and he'd set up right on the mantelpiece. It's not good for the neighbors to see that type of stuff, you know, so I had to put it away. But I actually brought one today, if you guys want to see.
Oh, we want to see.
Yes.
The prosecution moves that Exhibit A be introduced into evidence.
So moved. Just get the thing away from me.
I'll take it. Hey, buddy.
What is wrong with you?
And as far as you know, has he ceased entertaining himself with hobbies like this?
No, I don't think so. You know, I went to his house a couple years ago, and I was in his basement. I mean, I nearly choked when I saw something.
And what was that?
That was his cockroach trailer park.
What?
Oh, yeah, that was wild. You know those little roach motels they got where the little roaches go inside and they get their little feetsies stuck and they ride to death? Arnold would outrun a whole fleet of those things, pin them up like little Winnebagos, and set up a cockroach trailer park.
I think I'm through with this character witness, Your Honor.
Oh, no, now don't get me wrong. My Arnold is a good boy. He's just a little fruity. But I mean, who isn't really when you think about it?
You may step down, Mrs. Meadow.
Thank you.
Your Honor, permission to approach the bench.
What do you want?
I'd rather not say aloud for the entire courtroom to hear, Your Honor.
Fine.
Oh, God. Ew. Oh, God, no. I move to remove the evidence that was just entered into evidence out of evidence.
And why would I allow that?
Because it makes my client look like an unhinged weirdo.
The prosecution is trying to establish that your client is an unhinged weirdo.
Unhinged weirdo though he may be,
You know we can all hear you, right?
I fail to see the relevance of how a tap-dancing frog relates to the death of Amelia Meadow.
He's not tap dancing, he's doing the Charleston.
The prosecution contends that the exhibit is indeed relevant to the case, in that it establishes a pattern of rather disturbing behaviors on the part of Mr. Meadow.
Is the prosecution insinuating that taxidermy often leads to murder?
Is the defense insinuating that taxidermy is a typical hobby for well-adjusted individuals?
Oh, shut up or I'll have you both stuffed. Mr. Static, will having this thing be removed from evidence make you shut up and leave me alone?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Okay. Bailiff, strike this putrid display from evidence.
Neat.
Members of the jury, you are to disregard the evidence that was just presented to you and banish it from your minds. You can thank me later. Mr. Static, who's next?
Dora Glockamora.
Dora Glockamora! Raise your hand. You swear to tell the truth, the truth, no, not the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Say your name.
Dora Glockamora.
Be seated.
Miss Glockamora, how are things this fine day?
Oh, as well as can be expected, under the circumstances.
Oh, and what circumstances might those be?
Well, I just can't believe someone as sweet and gentle as Mr. Meadow is accused of such a terrible crime.
And how do you know Mr. Meadow?
I know him only as a friend. I would see him at the theater with Amelia.
Oh, you then are a member of the Mill City Players.
Yeah, I played Irene in Hello Dolly.
Oh, Irene Malloy, the statuesque beauty who plans to wear ribbons down her back.
This summer, yes,
And in your capacity as actress Irene Malloy, you came in contact with my client.
I did.
And what kind of man did you find him to be?
I found him to be a wonderful man, a man's man, a woman's man, the kind of man men want to be, the kind of man men who want to be men emulate when they want to be men's men.
And why do you characterize my client in this fashion, Miss Guacamora?
Well, I would watch him as he sat in the theater nightly with Amelia, and he would sit there, rehearsal after rehearsal, no matter how bad Amelia would be, no matter how many lines she blew or musical notes she destroyed, he never once grimaced or reacted in a negative fashion. I thought that took enormous self-control.
What it took was earplugs.
He struck me as a nice man, a very nice man, the kind of man who loved his wife and would never lift a hand to her.
Take a crack at this one.
Ms. Guacamora, if you were to name one person in the entire world that meant more to you than anybody else, who would that person be?
Well, my daddy, of course.
Of course, and why is that?
Because my daddy was the nicest, sweetest, most beautiful man who ever walked the face of the earth.
Was? Did you say was the nicest man, Miss Guacamora?
Yes.
Because your daddy is a dead daddy, isn't he, Miss Guacamora?
Please don't say that.
And when you encounter any man over 50 these days, you immediately attribute your daddy's niceness to him, do you not?
Well, what's wrong with that? My daddy left. I needed my daddy. I loved my daddy. Mr. Metal reminds me so much of my daddy. I just wish you people would leave my daddy alone. I mean, Mr. Metal. Leave Mr. Metal alone. He's so nice. He's so much like my...
You really know how to pick them, don't you?
Your Honor, I object.
What now?
My client is badgering me.
That's it. You're fired.
What?
You're canned. You're gone. Your history. Your Honor, I'd like to represent myself from this point forward.
That's your right.
Damn right it's my right.
Arnold, I strongly recommend you reconsider.
And I strongly recommend you pick up another profession. There's always room in the food service industry. Why don't we practice now? Repeat after me. You want fries with that?
Your Honor, this is a travesty.
And it fits in with everything else that's going on. Mr. Stagg, wave your little hand and whisper, "So long, courtroom."
You are in big trouble now, Buster.
Yeah, and a little dog, too.
All right, Metal, who's next?
Let's get right to the nitty-gritty. I call Byron Shelley.
Byron Shelley. Raise your hand. Do you swear to tell the truth?
I swear to tell the truth,
The whole truth?
the entire truth,
Nothing but the truth?
the truth at its core, unblemished and unfettered.
So help you God?
So guide me, help me, and strengthen me, God.
Can you believe this jerk?
State your name.
Byron Shelley.
Park it.
Hey, Byron.
Metal.
How's it going?
Fine.
How's the missus?
She's well, we're doing fine. Please, if you have something to ask me,
Oh, I have something to ask you, all right.
then get on with it.
That would be my suggestion.
All right, here's a question for you, Byron. You missed the clicker?
Pardon me?
The remote control for the TV. You miss it now that the little woman's doing all the surfing.
I fail to see the pertinence of your question.
But let me rephrase the question. When the urge hits you to go back full-time to your wife, to put an end to my wife's pissing and moaning and kvetching about everything from who's on Ellen to why they can't make good-tasting fat-free pizza, when all those urges hit you, what did you do about it?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm talking about Amelia Metal and what you can do to a guy's self-esteem if he doesn't turn a deaf ear to her constant whining and crying. Talking about an old fart, such as yourself, getting his jollies reaching out for the occasional pinchful of Amelia, and realizing that one pinch is worth thousands of words droning on and on and on over dinner. So all you want to do is take the gravy boat and soften her crop. Talking about you having your fill of Amelia, then dropping a sandbag on her from the stage left fly space.
That's insane. That's preposterous. I was on stage during the number. If you had even an elementary theatrical education, you would know that she sings the So Long Dearie number to my character, Horace Vandergelder.
I know the show you community theater dirigible, but I also know you would occasionally slip off stage to sneak a butt. I don't mean a cigarette.
What are you implying?
I'm implying that on the night of January 16th, during the rousing So Long Dearie number, you crept off stage, pinched a couple of geriatric chorus girls, then climbed up the fly space and dropped the sandbag on Amelia to stop her whining.
I do not crawl along fly spaces. It is well known in my long theatrical career that I'm not involved in anything involving backstage manual labor or stagecraft. Why, on the night in question, I said to Gus, the lovely doorman, just before the rousing So Long Dearie number, I said, Gus, it's a damn good thing they don't have a lummox like me working backstage on this complicated show.
I see.
What do you see?
Nothing. No further questions, Your Honor.
I demand to know what he thinks he sees.
Miss Kling?
I have only one question for this clearly innocent man, Your Honor. Mr. Shelley, what are your plans for the upcoming season?
Well, this fall I will play Mr. Stanley in The Man Who Came to Dinner for the Pine Hall Dramatic Society. Then I will play Mr. Kirby in You Can't Take It With You for the Struthers Friends of the Drama. And then in the spring, if everything goes according to plan, I will play Willie Loman on Death of a Salesman for the Play by Players Theater Company. I audition on Wednesday. I'm waiting to hear from them.
Hello? Okay. Thank you. You didn't get it.
I'm available in the spring.
Thank you. No further questions.
Metal?
I reserve the right to recall this witness, Your Honor. I don't think he's giving us the straight poop.
I resent that. If anything, I'm full of the straight poop.
You may step down, but don't leave the courtroom. Who's next?
Call Gus Swenson, the lovable doorman for the Mill City Players.
Gus Swenson, lower doors and no city players.
You got that kind of time?
Forget. Have a seat.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'm rolling now.
Yes, sir. Say your name.
Somebody knows it here. Somebody just said it. Give me a hint.
Your Honor.
Your Honor? Your Honor. That doesn't sound right. Your Honor?
Your name is Gus Swenson.
Is it? Well, tell him. He's the one who wants to know.
Metal?
Hello, Gus.
Mr. Metal, what are you doing here?
I'm on trial for murder, Gus. They think I killed Amelia.
Oh. Well, did you?
Absolutely not.
Too bad. She was about the worst actress I've ever seen.
Somebody did kill her, Gus. It just wasn't me.
Wait, she's dead?
I thought you knew that, Gus. That's why we're all here.
I heard she died on stage. I thought they were just talking about her performance. My God, she was awful.
Can we get to some point here, Your Honor?
I doubt it, but you better try, Metal.
Gus, did you hear Penelope Pushy Mushy's testimony earlier in this hearing that she had sent you away on the night of January 16th and assumed your identity at the front door?
When did she say that?
About 5 minutes ago?
Nope, that's way beyond the short-term memory span for me.
Well, how's your long-term memory?
I forget. Maybe it's good. Try me.
Well, do you remember that night? The night of January 16th? The closing night of Hello Dolly?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's coming back to me. That was the night something interesting happened on stage.
Yes?
I remember because, well, up until that night, nothing interesting ever happened on stage.
Go on.
Something about a sandbag? A sandbag falling.
Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. Somebody was screaming that Amelia died, and I figured it was the rousing condition of so long dairy that she self-destructed every night.
If you were there then, Gus, you would remember Penelope asking you to leave so she could assume your identity.
I suppose I would.
And you don't remember that happening, do you?
No, I was there. It never happened.
So you're calling Penelope Piddle Paddle a liar?
Am I?
Yes, you are.
And I don't even know what time it is.
Your witness.
State your name again, please.
Somebody around here knows it. Some ugly old man in a big black gown.
Mr. Swenson?
That's it.
Mr. Swenson, when was the last time you spoke with Arnold Metal?
Who?
Arnold Metal?
Oh, I don't know. I try to stay away from him. Never know when he's gonna stick me in a box and put me in the ground.
Mr. Swenson, what if I told you that you spoke with Mr. Metal not 2 minutes ago right here in this courtroom?
And I didn't run and hide like a squirrel protecting his nuts?
No, sir. In fact, you told him you thought Penelope Pache Marquet was a liar.
No kidding.
No kidding, sir.
Who's Penelope Pushy Monkey?
No further questions, Your Honor. Clearly, Mr. Swenson's testimony is worthless. As a witness, he's impotent.
My doctor gave me pills for that.
You may step down, Mr. Swenson.
Yes, sir.
Bailiff.
Park it.
What do you say, Metal? Want to cash in? Looks to me like your case is as shaky as a Jell-O casserole.
Well, that may be what it looks like to you, but it's not what it looks like to me. Recall Byron Shelley.
Why do you want to talk to that fat foghorn again?
I'll tell you why, because that fat foghorn was telling the truth. I was just too blind to see it.
All right. Recall him.
Recall the fat foghorn.
Bailiff.
Oh, moment. Recall Byron Shelley.
I hope you know what you're doing, Metal.
A lawyer always knows what he's doing.
You're an undertaker.
Don't try to confuse me, it won't work. Take the stand.
Remember, you're under oath.
Of course I remember I'm under oath. Do I look senile to you?
I bet it's not just me. How many people in the courtroom think Mr. Shelley looks senile?
Mr. Shelley, when I told this court you were telling the truth, I wasn't telling the truth. The truth would have been you were telling the partial truth. But the truth is, the partial truth you were telling was far less important than the truth you were not.
Huh?
Never mind. Did you or did you not tell this courtroom, not 5 minutes ago during my questioning, did you or did you not tell this court that you spoke with Gus, the lovable doorman, seconds before going on stage for the rousing So Long Dearie number?
Oh my god. Did I say that?
Yes, you did.
What an idiot.
How many people in the courtroom think Mr. Shelley looks like an idiot?
You heard Penelope's testimony that she had sent Gus away on that night and assumed his identity, did you not?
Yes. God.
And you remember my inept questioning of Gus. It proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Penelope was telling the truth, that she was, in fact, impersonating Gus on that night.
Well, I remember your inept questioning, of course.
You realize that we all know that when you spoke with Gus on that night, you were in point of undeniable fact, truly speaking to Penelope. What's her name again? Piddle Paddle. Let's go with that.
Penelope is a brilliant actor. I believed I was talking to Gus.
Is that so? Then how do you explain that Penelope, the dictatorial director that she is, didn't shoo you off the stage right, where your entrance was supposed to take place?
Well, I guess that since she was pretending to be Gus, she didn't want me to think that.
Isn't it accurate to say, Byron, that you didn't expect to be shooed away? Because you knew Penelope was Gus and vice versa. And you didn't expect to be shooed away because you and Penelope were in cahoots.
Gesundheit.
No, Your Honor, cahoots. Shelley and Penelope were in the throes of an affair and plotted to kill my wife. You may gasp.
This is balderdash.
It is absolutely balderdash. But if it creates a reasonable doubt, then...
Yes, I knew I was talking to Penelope. How anybody could mistake her for lovable, scrawny Gus is laughable. My God, look at the caboose on her. And yes, we had been having an affair, but I had just ended it. She thought it was because of Amelia, but the truth is I'd grown weary of my philandering and missed my cable. Every little thing that we would talk about turned into an argument. It was hell. Why, the very night in question, It was a small blocking change towards the end of the So Long Deary number that she wanted me to make for absolutely no reason at all, but I called her bluff. I told her I would do it, but I didn't. Penelope was trying to control me, but I wouldn't let her.
A blocking change?
Yeah, she wanted me and Amelia to switch places near the end of the song.
You mean she wanted you to alter your stage movement on that night? She wanted you to move stage left?
Yes, are you deaf, man? Yes.
During the rousing So Long Deary number?
Yes, man. God, why don't you just... Good God.
Indeed. Recall Penelope Poopmaker.
No can do, Arnie. Miss Kling is another shot at Byron first.
Pass.
Pass.
This guy can configure himself without any help from me. I'm loving this.
Recall Penelope Pacemaker.
Recall, Penelope Pacemaker. Okay.
Remember, you're under oath.
Oh, she wakes up every morning under oath. Isn't that what you told us earlier, Penelope?
I don't know what your game is, Arnold, but whatever it is, I can play it far better than you.
My game is the truth, Penelope. What do you say? Why don't we play a truth game? You go first. True or false? You were in the midst of a torrid affair with Byron Shelley subsequent to his liaison with my dead wife.
False.
False?
It wasn't a torrid affair. It was merely a charity case.
So you went down an affair with him, though?
And what if I do? I was lonely. I was weak. I'd sniffed far too many bowling shoes. I was vulnerable. He took advantage of me.
And after he took advantage of you, he dumped you, didn't he?
Yes! After I staged each of his scenes so that everybody else upstaged themselves in his presence, after I had compromised my artistic integrity by allowing him to bellow and bluff on stage like Edwin Booth on a bender, after I had coddled him through the rehearsal period, he tells me it's true. He is the definition of swine.
What about that blocking change, huh?
He's lying.
Is he? A simple blocking change? What purpose would he have to invent such a thing?
I don't know. He's an idiot. Everybody knows that.
So, why would he make this up?
I don't know. You were there. You've seen it.
Don't you want to know why I'm asking you this?
I do. Why?
Don't you want to know what my point is?
What's your point?
My point is that if Byron Shelley, the man who had just broken off an affair with you, the man who had dumped you, left you high, dry, and desolate, if this man had done what you'd asked and changed his blocking...
I object.
Well, it's about time.
Mr. Metal is running hog wild on a wild goose chase.
Oh, I'm wild, Your Honor, but it has nothing to do with hogs and geese. J'accuse Penelope Pache-Maquet of the inadvertent death of my wife during her botched attempt to kill Byron Shelley.
That's a bald-faced lie. I saw you in the grid space.
You saw Diddley squat in the grid space because you were in the grid space. You had motive, opportunity, and the stagecraft expertise to pull it off. J'accuse and j'arrest my case.
Cool. Miss Kling, do you have anything else to add to this circus?
I won't dignify Mr. Meadows' ravings with my participation. The Commonwealth rests as well.
That's what I like to hear. All right, folks, time for your summations. Kling, you're up first.
Wow, I love your shirt. Where'd you get it from?
Kling.
Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me apologize for the utter ridiculousness of what went on here today. I mean, we recruit you to sit in judgment in a high-profile murder case. And what do? We parade in front of you as motley a crew of idiots and bozos as has ever set foot in a courtroom. I am deeply, deeply sorry. However, as ludicrous as these proceedings have been, surely you can see that this man, Arnold Metal, has simply attempted to blind you with this blatant grandstand play of firing his lawyer, of defending himself, trying to gain your sympathy. Clearly you can see that this is a man who is showing no remorse over the death of his wife, who, in his own words, found the woman repulsive, whose own mother verified the fact that Amelia Metal was a curse on Arnold Metal's life. We've proven he was backstage on the night of January 16th, roaming around aimlessly, waiting for an opportunity to strike. And strike he did, ladies and gentlemen. Strike he did. Arnold Metal is your murderer. Your decision's been made for you. You're welcome. Thank you. Oh, by the way, can you tell me where you got that shirt after?
Kling.
Oh, sorry.
Metal, your summation?
I mean, come on. Do I have to spell it out for you? Penelope Pacemaker. I know you hate that name. Reblocked the scene so she could dump the sandbag on the fat foghorn. The fat foghorn disobeyed her orders, and my wife ended up getting crushed instead. I mean, you'd have to be a bunch of deadhead nincompoops to not realize that she is your murderer. Is that what you are? A bunch of lame-brained losers? Is that how you want to be remembered by your grandchildren? Is that how you want to go to the grave? Remembered as the stupid jury who was convicted the wrong man in the metal case? If that's what you want, be my guest. But if you want to be remembered as the geniuses who saw through Penelope Pacemaker's devious scheme to let me off the hook and bring her to trial. Oh, by the way, when you do go to the grave, don't forget the metal mortuary. 330-644.
Sit down, Metal.
Absolutely.
Well, members of the jury, your time has come. And since I'm as sick and tired of this lunatic festival as you are, I'm not going to drag out these proceedings any longer than is necessary. So in the currently acceptable tradition of jury spending absolutely no time deliberating, I'm going to let you vote on your verdict right here and right now. Those of you who are giving a voting paddle, use it to cast your vote at this time. If you think Arnold Metal killed his wife, then stand and display the red guilty side. If you think he did not, display the green not guilty side, and we'll get you home before the 11 o'clock news.
Do you think I can speak to the jury again? I might have been a little too harsh on them.
Too late, Metal. Your fate is in their hands. Bailiff, conduct the tally. Metal on your feet. The jury has found you as not guilty.
Like I'm supposed to be surprised?
Bailiff, arrest Penelope Pacemaker.
Shelley, you placemat! Why didn't you change the blocking like I told you?
It didn't feel appropriate for the character.
Man, all your bowling shoes give you athlete's foot!
Members of the jury, you're dismissed. Please don't tell me about what happened here tonight. We want an audience tomorrow. This case is closed. And please be assured, if you were to ever appear in my courtroom again, I will have things completely under control.